agree with Alan Greenspan, we ought to just eliminate the debt ceiling. Oh, absolutely, we do.
The ability of almost every working American to access more credit than they should have been able to masked the underlying fact that lower and middle class incomes were not rising.
That's not a tenable strategy. Isn't now the time to eliminate it? Oh, we've been time a long time ago to eliminate it.
Let's put aside terrorism. Let's talk only about our own homegrown animals that are patrolling America right now. So it goes down to the simplest thing. Be prepared, be vigilant.
So National Geographic runs a cover story about gender revolution. And their cover girl is a 9-year-old girl who was a boy, who now identifies as a female, as a girl. A little girl. The little boy who now identifies as a little girl, long hair, pink outfit, the whole thing. And I watch that, I look at that. First of all, Nat Geo, I used to enjoy. I really did. I don't have the channel anymore. I know it's probably been overridden by, reality television and guys from Louisiana killing crocodiles and that type of thing. But when I look at a story like this, and it's a cover story now on a national magazine, I can't help but wonder, and I'm not a big guy for laws, but I think parents are so irresponsible these days. I mean, they're so incredibly irresponsible that I think if we're really going to have this, if we're going to live in this mirth of transgenderism, this world where no one's actually sure what they are, and it really all stems from the fact that you have to decide, right? It stems from the fact that there's so much pressure out there from media and all that nonsense to even concern yourself with your sexuality at 9 years old and younger. I've seen younger now. I haven't seen younger on a cover story, but I have seen younger. So this idea that you have to even consider a choice like this when you're 9 years old it's part and parcel of the inundation of media that the kids are dealing with. And with the irresponsible parents, see, something like that could be beat back with responsible parents. A responsible parent would tell a confused child like that, they'd say, look, when you're 18, you can do whatever you want. But now you're Billy, and you're going to fucking be Billy until you're 18. Or at least, and I would even do it a little more liberally. I would sit the boy down. You want to know how I would handle this situation if it happens in my life? I'm always going to love my kids first and foremost. And I would expect any parent to do the same, no matter how conservative or whatever they think they are, how red-blooded American. But what I would do is I would say, look, buddy, you're a boy. You were born a boy. You have parts on your body that generate hormones that make you, they're going to turn you into a man. And I would say, I would really prefer that you go on the full journey first. I would prefer that you let puberty hit, you let that pituitary gland start working, you let those testes start pumping out testosterone into your body. You let your body do the change that it's naturally going to do. And if you come out on the other side and still think you're a girl, even though you're a boy, at least at that point I can feel good about you've gone through the hormonal changes, the physical changes, yada, yada, yada. But what drives me crazy, right, because we have to also remember we're a free country, right? Both sides of this weird division that we have in our nation where everyone thinks they're one thing or the other thing, but both sides of these one left and right thinking divisions in the nation, they like to play things out in favor for themselves, right? Because they're living in a war. See, I don't live in a war. In my head, I don't live under any strict guidelines about what I can and can't do. In other words, I might talk about some conservative topics, but that doesn't mean that I have to do everything that Sean Hannity does. That doesn't mean I have to do everything that a conservative man does. Because I know in my heart I'm an American man. I'm an American man. I'm a flawed man. I'm just a person. I'm just a dad, a father, a husband. Right? A son, a brother. That's it. I don't want to be boxed in. I never want to be boxed in by any ideology. But when you look at these two raging sides, left versus right, conservative versus liberal / progressive / alt-right / whatever, you see that they don't mind bending the rules when it's within their favor or falls in their ideology. Right? So in other words, you talk to a conservative, it's crazy. They should outlaw it. Should they really outlaw it? Is this a thing that should be outlawed? Or is this a phase of freedom and liberty that will more than likely dissipate? I mean, it's already a tiny faction, right? It's already probably less than 1% of the population. So would the right move be to make this illegal and go down that whole path? Nobody wants more laws. I think both sides can agree on that, right? Can both sides, pardon me, I'm trying to work an ATM here. Can both sides agree that we don't want more laws? I think that's very feasible, right? But there's part of me that does say, you know what? I don't think we should be able to make this move until we've done puberty. That's kind of my take on it. No. My take on it is, if you haven't gone through puberty, your body hasn't made that change, then I don't think we do it. I don't think we allow people to do this whole thing of, all of a sudden now I'm going to be Freddie instead of Fanny. I don't like it. I'm just not a big fan. Because they're children, man. You think about if your child came up to you with any other insane type of idea, and I will call it a little insane. I will, because I think there's a bit of insanity involved in it. I do. I don't know how to tell you that. We don't know how to handle the insane either. That's another big problem. And with situations like this taking the cover story of National Geographic, how do we... This further blurs the lines between a total nut and a person who has a true desire to be something that they're not. And I don't know where that comes from. I don't understand the issue. You know what I mean? I don't understand the issue. It's thought that never crossed my mind. So I wonder what it would be like if I was a girl. I sure would like a nice long set. When I wanted long hair, I grew my hair out. That was it. When I wanted to headbang and have long hair, I just grew my hair out. That was all. I didn't have to but whatever. I'm not going to berate the transgender community. They have their struggles enough, right? There's enough out there in their way. Let's be honest. Do I have to beat a dead horse to get my point across? No. We're at a point in the nation where there's a 9-year-old who's decided the rest of their life, their sexuality, and we don't even know about sexuality. We just decided the gender. With the parents' input, we're assuming. I didn't read the story. The cover's enough for me. What do I need to read the story for? We're in a situation where we have to... If grown-ups want to do what they want to do, let them do what they want to do. They want to be a kid for a week. They want to be a dog for a week. They want to be a man a week, female, whatever. So long as it doesn't infringe on my family, my life, you know what I mean? Another man's rights. That's what America is. But the problem comes when it's the children now. When you're guiding the children into homosexuality and guiding the children into transgenderism when it's probably not even the right path. They're too young to even know what the path is. In other words, if you have people in your ear all the time, you should do this, you should do that, you would be a better girl than you are a boy because you are not good at football. Do you understand me? You're the worst kid out there on the dodgeball court because you're supposed to be a girl. That's where a man is supposed to get headstrong and tell people to go to hell and either come back stronger or get the hell out of there. But parents don't guide anymore. They get guided. That's the problem. You can write that down. You can call that. It can be the title of your next ebook if you want. Parents don't guide. They get guided. Parents don't teach. They get taught. Right? Am I right? That is what's happening in the nation. No, Mom. I'm not a boy. I'm a girl. And here's why. Because Mrs. Blanchett at school, the counselor, she told me that, I should be a 9-year-old girl instead of a boy. I'm not going to beat the topic. It's not even what I wanted to talk about. I don't want to talk about that. I don't even want to talk about the fact that China got another delivery, just like Iran, one of our drones. They got a handle on one of our drones, one of our Navy drones. Do you think it happened on purpose? Do you think it happened by accident? Do you think that we've reached such a low in military dominance that things like this could even happen? Now, I'm a fan of military dominance of the United States. I am. I don't want China, and I don't want Russia on the same level militarily as my warring army. I don't. You can call it what you want. That doesn't mean, also, let me say it implicitly, that doesn't mean I want to go to war with these countries. It's actually the complete opposite. I want a military so big and so powerful and so mind-blowingly technologically advanced that no one would even dream of it. You understand me? No one would even dream of a war with America. And I get to the point when you talk about the nuke situation. You talk about the nuke situation, mutually assured destruction, right, between Russia and America. Right? We're not going to use our nukes on you because we know if you use your nukes on us, it's going to be over for everybody. I get to a point when I look at the militaries of the world and I say mutually assured destruction. We take the biggest players in the world and we build their militaries up to heights that are unimaginable. And we never use them. You know, we've got like a hobby army. A massive hobby army that does nothing but drive peace out of the respect for that army. Whatever. I don't want to talk about it either. I get so upset when I hear this about the Taiwan and the Donald Trump talk, and people are saying that he made a mistake by going and talking to a sovereign nation. I really get upset, man. I mean, this is a terrifying situation that so many people in the media, in my neighborhood, in my life, are saying things like, this was a blunder, this was a bad move. And hey, look, diplomatically speaking, maybe it was a bad move. That's not what makes me the most upset. What makes me upset is that this is America now. America is at a point where we are bowing to these powers, where we are changing our modus operandi to appease another nation. Why? And not even appease another nation. Well, yeah, appease another nation is the right word, but it's much more like fear, out of fear. Isn't it? Don't you see that? Don't you see the fear? You see the fear when people come up. You don't want to have war with Russia, do you? No. That I want to talk to who. Imagine if you were dating a girl or a guy, and they told you that, oh, you see that person over there? Yeah, I know you used to know them, but you can't talk to them anymore, or you're going to upset me. You would be like, oh, okay, well, you're crazy. I'm leaving. That's the end of this relationship. Right? We used to have relations with Taiwan, and we're not allowed to have them anymore now that big bad China's involved. What's going on? Does no one else see the issue here? The issue is we're the greatest nation on the planet with the most powerful army by far currently. Donald Trump's going to build that up, I hope. I hope he brings it up to levels not seen before. Not because I want to go to war. Because I want nations to go, oh shit, I forgot. Oh my God, I forgot. I want it to be like Dad came back home. You know what I mean? I want it to be like Russia and China and all these other nations, North Korea. I want them to be so used to Obama, and then the military gets itself back on its tracks with these great general appointments. And I want the world to go, oh shit, Dad's home. Oh God, Dad's home, and we've been bad. We've been bad. We've been telling them who they can talk to and who they can't. We've been calling. You remember when Russia called up our Air Force general, whatever, and told them that, look, you got to get your airplanes out of Syria because we're going to bomb this area. So get them out of the landing strip because we're going to come through and bomb it. And our sissified military leaders. Okay, yes, sir, no problem. Listen, boys, we're out of here. Russia's coming through. They're going to do some dirty work, and they want us to move our jets. I think honestly, I think there's been such a push to emasculate any of this kind of behavior, the kind of behavior that you need to win wars and be a monster in the world stage, and a monster for peace now. I think we've been so emasculated that when people see a situation like that, they don't even recognize what's wrong. When a despotic leader like Putin sends his military leaders to contact our military leaders and say, we're going to need you guys to move your stuff, okay, because we're going to come bomb it. And if you don't bomb it, or if you don't move it, rather, we're going to bomb it. And we say, yes, sir, Mr. Putin, sir, no problem, sir. We'll just get our planes right out of your way. In an America in the 80s, in the early 80s, 70s, with real men at the helm, running the greatest military ever. They probably, I would love to hear the response. I really would have loved to have been there to hear the response if a real man picked up that phone and wasn't afraid to fight, it had a military at his back that would devastate, which we do. Let's be honest. Had a real military at his back and had a real pair of you-know-whats to tell that guy, I'm sorry, you must have the wrong telephone number, my friend. You're calling the general or the leader of this division of the Air Force, the American Air Force, the United States of America. Do you understand what it is you're doing right now by essentially threatening us, and saying if you don't move your planes, we're going to bomb them? You're going to bomb them. I can only imagine the cold laughter on the side of the phone. Or you're going to bomb them. Okie dokie. Well, I'm going to introduce you to a cruise missile, okay? It comes off of an aircraft carrier some 100 miles away. And with pinpoint accuracy, I can essentially put it in your lap. So you do me a favor and hang this phone up, and you can call me back and try this whole phone call over again if you'd like. But what you're not going to do is call me up and tell me to move anything. I won't move a nut. I won't move a wrench. And if I see a jet plane fly over my base, it's going to be a move that you will most regret. Because that's what American military leadership would have said to a country like Russia in the past. But we've reached such a point, and it's the same situation with the Taiwan-China. Same situation. Everybody comes up, oh, we got to be diplomatic. We're scared. We're afraid. We're terrified. Nobody wants war. But you can't lose your dominance either, or you get killed for that. Don't you understand? You can't kowtow to a nation and show them that you're afraid. Oh, God, I'm so terrified. Let's do whatever they want. No, we're not allowed to talk to another sovereign nation. I hope these things change under Trump. I hope he has the tact to pull them off without getting us into World War III, because it is possible. It is possible to take back the military dominance in the world, and I want to. I don't want to protect the world. I just want the world to know that we have technology so advanced that it would be just pointless to go to war. That's all. Peace. Peace, what was that? I can't remember the statement. Peace through, I don't have my chat room here. When I do the live show, I get hung up on things like this. I type it in. Peace through what? Ronald Reagan, boom, type it into the chat room, and the people in chat just, boom, they spit out the right answer for me. They're like my co-producers. So, Obama's on vacation during it all, by the way, which is, it's the last hurrah for the man. You've got to give him that, right? I'm going to go on vacation, barely, whatever. It is what it is. All the government's worried about is getting in Russia's face about hacking scandals that cost a woman the election, apparently. Even though it didn't cost her the election, really. Even though it was her decisions to be a monster and to be a criminal, which she is at heart, and set up a server where she wasn't allowed to. And when these emails started pouring out from WikiLeaks, what? How can you blame Russia for that? How can you blame Russia for something like that? I don't understand it. It's like I didn't put gas in my car even though I knew I should have, and I broke down on the wrong side of town. So I had to go over here, and I decided to take $3,000 out of the ATM and flash it around, and you know what? I got robbed, and that's a bunch of bullshit. The internet is... What was I thinking? When you look at the internet, it's so wide open, people just don't understand it. Right? They don't understand what other people are capable of doing with the internet. You know, the hackers, these people that are so incredibly advanced. I remember reading up on hacking a little bit when I was younger because we were kind of into that thing. We never went anywhere, did anything. Me and my friends were into it. And just the level back then, you know, when information was sparse was amazing. Can you imagine just throwing a haphazard email out there and ever thinking it was secure? You know, there was a time not long ago, 5 years ago maybe, where people were like, oh, I don't buy anything on the internet. No, that's a dangerous place. I can't put my credit card information on that internet. I would never do that. Now we've all just agreed to do it. People get hacked every day. The banks deal with it. I mean, we've just agreed that, well, you know what? We are all going to do it because convenience rules in America. Whoa. I haven't done one of these in the car in a while. I've been thinking about doing a late night in the car. You know, once the family goes to bed, like a la Taxi Driver, Robert De Niro, circa 1980s or 70s. Drive around the city. You know, drive around the city. I don't know. There is something special. I know there's many of you out there, you send me emails about how much you like the car shows. But since my career change has happened, I mean, it's one of those things where I'm not in the car that much. And I'm definitely not in the car alone very much. But I do want to talk about God today, and I really do want to talk about marriage today. That's what I really want to talk about in this holiday season. It looks like I'm about to get rear-ended by someone who doesn't know how to park. So I'm going to jump into this library, and then we'll kick back up once I get back to this. Batman Eternal Volume 3, Superman, Wonder Woman, Casualties of War, The Emergency Survival Manual, 294 Life-Saving Skills, and The Penguin Anthology of 20th Century American Poetry. Just a short list of books that I pulled from the library. Some great reading is in order for James Walton. I'm back. It's I Am Liberty. We are spending some time together in the vehicle today, you and I. You and I are spending a little time in the vehicle, driving around, knocking duties off left and right. The next thing in line for me is to get some gas in this vehicle before it dies. And it's a sunny, cold Saturday, no doubt about it. It's a little miserable. I've got a lot to look forward to. The holidays are here. The holidays are here, and when the holidays come, you get that ever growing feeling in your stomach, in your chest, in your heart, whatever it might be, about your relationship with your Maker. Right? So you start to get that feeling in your gut. How have I been? What have I been up to? What have I been doing? Am I doing the right thing? I know some of this is malarkey. I know that I'm using my scientific brain to deduce what people call religion, to deduce from that what is helpful and what is not, what is, cultish and what can be effective in life. And for many, you latch on to things from your youth and you draw closer to God. Right? You draw closer to God than most parts of the year. Hanukkah begins on Christmas this year, which is, well, it might not be anything. To many of you out there listening, that means nothing. To some people, it means everything. And to a guy like me, it's something I think about a lot. Now, my relationship with God has been one that, for some unknown reason, somewhere way out of my level of understanding of the Christian religion, the Catholic religion, and even God himself, I have been gifted with so much. You know, I have been gifted with so much. It's unbelievable now. I'm not a rich man by any stretch. You know, I'm working on that, but I'm not a rich man by any stretch. And it's not that my life's been without struggle either, but the rewards have been massive. The rewards have been completely and totally out of whack for me. And I've been guided. I've felt his guidance. You know, the reason I've been guided by God is not because I am this holy man who spends all his time in church and yada, yada, yada. I've been guided by God, and this is advice for anyone out there who does believe, who has faith, and who wonders why things tend to not go their way. Right? Because you know, everybody does. Everybody knows a lot of religious people. They're in the church every Sunday. They're always telling you about what the Bible says and and they have nothing. They're miserable. They're always fighting, right? And what I've found is that there are times in life where you have to let God guide you. Now, what does that mean? That sounds like malarkey, right? That sounds like some things that you would hear from the priest in a sermon, right? You have to let God guide you. Well, what does that mean? In order for me to explain that, you have to understand how I look at God. I look at God as intuition. I look at God as common sense. And I look at God as conscience and consciousness. When I think of God, that's what I think God is. That's what I think the power is. And I have always been very in tune with opportunity, right? Always very in tune with opportunity. And when I would see an opportunity, I would then go to my intuition, and I would let that topic or let that opportunity roil around in my head and in my body and in my soul and in my heart for a few days. And I would come to a conclusion. And it wouldn't always be the most well-planned and the most responsible conclusion either. See, when you take the restrictions, right? When you take the restrictions of society and you take the expectations of others and you bundle up your opportunities in that, well, a lot of times what happens is you start to over-plan and over-prepare, and before you know it, a lot of doors have been closed because you're not sure what mom's going to say, because you don't know if you'll have enough money, because you're not sure if this will work, because you don't know if this will work in the long run. You don't know if it's a bad investment. What is it good in? I don't know. I don't know if she's the right one for me. You know, I kind of am into blondes and she's got brown hair. And that's how these things go awry. And then through all that planning and through all that, you know, rigorous stuff that we put ourselves through, you wind up on the opposite end and you think to yourself, God, this didn't really work out for me. I was so thorough. And so buttoned down and so zipped up. But here I am struggling, still struggling with the same old things. There's no one here. I don't know how to hold on to a woman because I overthink it all, because I want to make sure that dad's happy, mom's happy. I want to make sure that I'm happy. I want to make sure that all these things that come up, you're muting God. Now, I'm no priest. I'm giving you my interpretation of the power of God right now. As we sit here the week before Christmas, really in the eye of the most holiest storm there is annually. That's not a bad analogy right there. I'm giving you my interpretation of God's power. Because you hear a lot of other ones that are a little wacky, right? Like the hand of God's going to come out of the sky and put the pieces in place for you. It'll never work. It'll never happen. You'll become agnostic, and you'll believe that there is no God, and there is no creator. Everything just happened on a whim, and a comet smashed into a planet, and elements mixed together, and from there we evolved. And a lot of that is true, but that doesn't mean that there's no power in God. It doesn't mean that the way God's defined in the Bible is right. But there is something out there that will guide you, right? We've explained it as intuition. We've explained it in the past as consciousness, right? My dad explained it to me as the right and the wrong, right? Even as a baby, he told me. Even as a baby, I was watching my son today, 1 year old. He knows that we don't like him to bang on the keyboards and stuff like that of the computers in the house. And he was over his nan's house, and he walked up to the computer, and then he looked over at me. And he looked back down at the computer, and he put his two little hands behind his back because he knew what right and wrong was. Right? At 1 year old, he knew what right and wrong. And they know before they can even walk what's right and what's wrong. And my father believes that is also God. Right? That consciousness, that morality that comes to many of us untaught, unlearned. And like I said, many of the greatest moments in my life have come out of that same process. That same process that, I don't know how else to put it, but really winging it. Kind of winging it, but on a way that felt good to my soul. You know what I mean? In a way that felt good to my intuition and my body. And not as much about my left brain, not as much about appeasing that sort of rigor. That rigor that tells me, oh, this better be right, this better be perfect, this better be sound, this better make sense, this better appeal to many. No, a lot of times it was, how did I get in this position? And I'm going to think about this position. And then you know what? Rather than go down the checklist, I'm going to go with my gut. I'm going to go with my feelings. I can give you one very clear example of something that has happened recently that was no doubt God's hand guiding me. And I let it happen. I started to write. We talked about this. I started to write. I knew that I was going to move to part-time work, things like that. I started to write freelance and make some money on the side. And it was good. It was a good, comfortable feeling. I loved it. I enjoyed creation and productivity. So this grew and grew and grew and grew into the point where I had to stop taking on clients because I was working a full-time job. I didn't have time. There was no time to take care of them and everything else. And little did I know at the time that this was going on, you know what I mean? There were cells multiplying, abnormal cells multiplying in the body of the person watching my children. And we're in a bad situation right now, but thanks to this idea that I was meant to do something a little different than what I was doing. I was already doing something great. But there were some things that happened along the way that showed me more about myself than I had known. Showed me things about myself that I had been quieting, who I am really. Because I am no military general. You know what I mean? I'm no everything in line, everything order, type A, type whatever personality. That's not me. I'm a fantastical, artistic, loose-ended maniac. I mean, that's the real James Walton. That's the real James Walton. Now, one of my greatest qualities is that I am adaptable. So I can turn on these other functionalities. But where I really truly lie and where I am most happy is in the realm I just explained to you. The fantastical, the whimsical. You know what I mean? And the creative. So given this opportunity here, I have to look at that, and I have to look at the things that reiterated that in the last few months and say, okay, what else can I say about that? I am not this, forethought-filled person who makes these great decisions all the time about what I should do with my future. I'm just like you. But I'm not afraid to say that there was a hand that guided me in all that. There definitely was a hand that guided me in that. And it's happened many, many times in my life. And most of the time when it happens, it leads to great things. Not just good things, great things. It leads to amazing situations in life, just like it has this time. I mean, there are other gifts from God as well. You know what I mean? Gifts from God that, and maybe gifts from parenting, or parents rather, as well. But there's a gratitude in me that is unexplainable. It comes from my father a little bit, I know that. There's a gratitude in me that is undying. You know, I can't help but look at my situation. Beautiful children, amazing, beautiful wife, family that loves me, cares for me, wants to see me, in-laws that are great. You know, when you look at the condition of other people's lives, man, you have to be grateful. And when you're grateful, I do feel like that connection with God is even more powerful. You know, when you're consistently looking at, oh, wow, look at this. I can't believe this happened for me. This opportunity comes a-knocking. Here I am. Again, the giver and the bearer of great gifts, and also the receiver. How can this be? How can it keep happening? You know, that's an amazing thing right there. That's a powerful thing. Pumping gas right now. Pumping gasohol, talking about God with my with the fans at I Am Liberty. We're gonna have another breakout month. You know, I'm not a big fan of sponsorship, but the numbers are growing so much that I may reach out to some companies that I do truly like, that I would like you guys to hear about more often than when I remember to talk about them. I don't like the idea of being beholden to sponsors. I don't even like the idea of really having to think about a sponsor when I'm doing the show. And it adds another layer of responsibility to the show also. Because I'm a man who, if we're doing business together, I want you to be successful. It's that simple. If I'm selling your product or pushing your product or educating people about it, and it doesn't work out, you know, if it looks like, you know, we're seeing X amount of downloads per month on the shows, but you're not getting any traffic driven to your situation, then I'm going to feel very guilty about it. Even though it's not a guarantee, I'm still going to feel real bad about it, because I want, that's just another layer of success, and that's what I like, and that's what I want. You know, not monetize success all the time, but I just want things to work out and work out well for all parties. And that was too much. That was too much of a mouthful of my own inclinations, I guess, or whatever. Where do we go from here? Right, I give you this big God blast, this from a guy who doesn't talk about religion very much. That's just what I believe. That's what I feel this time of year. I feel like as the human animal, your intuition and your consciousness has to be turned on from time to time, especially at tough times. See, that's the thing, right? At tough times, you have to let that guide you. You have to remove the fear of failure, right? You have to remove it. You have to have the confidence in yourself that, oh, geez, if this crash and burn, if this really does crash and burn, then I will climb my way out of this pit. It's not the first pit I've climbed out of. I will climb myself out of this pit, and we'll figure it out. But you have to let it guide you sometimes. You really do. You have to take the leap. You have to take the leap of faith and let God guide you. God has guided me because I've allowed him. That's it. That's the end. That's the takeaway. God will guide you if you allow him. If you don't overthink it, if you don't drive yourself crazy up all night worrying about it, if you just let it sit and let it simmer in there and understand, okay, there's going to be some risk involved, and I'm going to take that risk, and that's the end of it. That's what I'm going to do. Well, there's only so much of that you can do, but yeah, I really think that is the power. You have to let God guide you. In this world, we have total control over everything, right? So you have to let go. And be grateful. Life is good, man. If nothing else, you have me. If you have nothing else but a can of beans and an old dirty dog, at least you have James Walton with I Am Liberty. Right? But for many of us, we have much more. For many of us, we have much more we're not grateful about. And that's one of the worst things that can happen to you in a marriage. right? Because living with someone, whether you're married or not, it's an amazing thing. It's an amazing thing, and it's a gigantic trial and tribulation. There is such strain on any type of relationship. Friends, cousins, family, wife and husband living together under the same roof, beginning to develop bad habits, noticing the other's bad habits. You know, why didn't this one do that? That one should have done this. Marriage is still one of the most powerful things. Marriage creates the next generation, and it raises them properly. You know what I mean? You have the mother and the father, and, you know, of course there could be bad mothers, bad fathers, blah, blah, blah. Shut up. I get it. I understand all of that. But what you have to understand about marriage is it's still one of the toughest things there are to do, which is why it's failing. You know what I mean? You can hear all the excuses you want all day, every day about people, and, well, you should wait longer to get married, or it's just a contract, it doesn't mean anything. When I hear things like that, I just think that people are afraid to fail, and that's it. You know, maybe there's some validity to it all, maybe there isn't, but what I can tell you is there is such power in standing up in front of everyone you love and telling them that you love this person more. No, and telling them that you love this person and you're going to dedicate your life to them and their happiness. Because that's what marriage is. That's what marriage should be about, right? You have found this person. And you also have to come to the conclusion and come to the realization that this person that you're married to, be it man or woman, is wife or husband, but much more, right? So you have to look at them through a different lens pretty often. What am I trying to say here? It's not coming out correctly. Some days, some moments in marriage, you're asking several different things of the person that you fell in love with, right? The person that you fell in love with, sometimes you need them to be a friend. Sometimes you need them to be a guidance counselor. Sometimes you need them to be a lover. Sometimes you need them to be gone. Sometimes you need them to disappear and go away and leave you alone. Sometimes you need them to be a babysitter, right? Sometimes you need them to be a cleaning lady or a cleaning man. Sometimes you need them to clean up the house while you're doing other things. And you really need to look at that person that way. You know, if you look at the person through this extreme idea that this is the one-dimensional person that I've married, they're my husband, they love me, we make love, and that's what we are, things can get complicated. You have to be okay with it saying, I've got to go out and take care of this stuff. You take care of that stuff. We'll reconvene in a little while. You know what I mean? The expectation that you're going to take care of the house while I'm out, you're going to take care of the kids, and I'm going to take care of those things. And you know what I mean? You're going to be the babysitter. I'm going to be the moneymaker today. I'm going to be the chef tonight, and you're going to be the cleaning lady. And I don't mean in the bedroom either. I'm talking about, you know, in the things that have to happen in a day-to-day life. But really, more than anything, you're marrying an ally, right? Marriage really is a pact between two allied nations, if you want to look at it that way, right? It's two people who come to an understanding that they need one another, as well as the fact that they're going to take on some incredible burdens together, right? Not even children. Just talk about owning property, owning homes, dealing with families. You know, there's no greater strain than this time of the year. There is no greater strain on marriage than the holidays. Everyone's coming into town, going out of town. You're traveling. You've got hiding presents from kids. The kids are crazy. They're off of school. They won't get out of your face. You're ready to kill one of them and eat it. It's a tough time. You know, the holidays are brutal. I remember watching my parents fight over putting lights up on a Christmas tree. And it used to amaze me. I'd watch these people, and my parents are madly in love still to this day. I believe that. And maybe even to well, whatever. Let's not get into the psychology of my parents' marriage. But I'd watch them put lights on a tree and garland. And, honey, where should I put the... I don't know if I want to put the lights there. We'll put the garland. You do the garland first, I'll do the lights. Okay, well, no. You need to do the lights first before... All right, well, I'm going and sitting down. They get upset, get in a fight. You know what I mean? You could see the anger in both of them. And the tree was a microcosm of the holiday season. Do I have enough money? I need to make more money. I got to get my son this, get my wife that. She wanted one of these. He wanted this. We can't find that, so... How do we explain that? We got dinner to make. We got to go to grandma's. We got to see that. It's an incredible burden. So when you are feeling overwhelmed this holiday season, you really need to take a look at your spouse and take a deep breath and say, God, look at her. Look at her in the fire, working, running, back and forth, ducking and covering in the fire with me here, making this work, making this happen. Being Santa Claus, being everything I need her to be and more. You got to take that moment. You got to take a moment to cool down. You got to be okay with telling your spouse, look, it's crazy in here. I'm leaving. You know what I mean? It's mad in here. You look like you've got more of a handle on it than me. I'm out of here. I'm going to go take 15, 20 minutes, ride up the store, buy a hat, and I'm going to come back a new man or a new woman, depending. I don't mean me personally. You've got to be able to do those things. If you sit there and you bite down and you grit your teeth, you're going to explode on each other. You're going to explode on each other in front of the kids, in front of the family. It's going to be ugly. Don't do it. All right? Just because you'll get into this mindset. Right? You always hear this from people who've been married and the marriage is falling apart. I really think there's someone better out there for me. She doesn't treat me like she used to. I'm just talking about things that I've heard personally from other men. She doesn't treat me like she used to. She's changed. She's, all these things. I just really think that there's someone else out there better for me. Of course there's someone better out there for you. There's someone better out there for everyone. There's 360 million people just in America. Or 300, whatever. I believe it's 360. 300 million people in the country. What are the odds that you are married to the most compatible person for you in the nation? Pretty goddamn low, right? Pretty low. So when you think something like, there's probably something better out there for me to treat me better. Yeah, I'm sure there is. I'm sure there is. But that has nothing to do with marriage. I know that sounds crazy, but it doesn't. It really doesn't. You've made a commitment to this woman. And you're upset because she's changed. Why is that? Why is that? Did you expect her to be the same person from 15 or 18 or 28 to 68? Are you the same man? We are merely humans, right? We change. Our interests change. Our turn-ons, turn-offs change. What we're attracted to changes. These things change, man. These things change. And when you're talking about decades together, it's going to be some change. You can either adapt or you can sit on the pity pot and ruin a good marriage. Sit on the pity pot, ruin a good marriage based on the fact somebody else is out there better for me. Yeah, I'm sure there is. There is no doubt in my mind that there's someone better out there for you, sir. But that has nothing to do with your current situation. We're weak, man. We're weak and it's showing. It's really starting to show. The other big thing you've got to understand about marriage, maybe the biggest thing. Let me cut the car back on real quick because I'm heading home now to see my spouse. Maybe the biggest thing. You're a good man, right? You do a lot of work. You work hard. You come home. You help out around the house. The kids love you. You love being with your kids. You spend 90% of your time being a good man, doing the things that everybody wants you to do. You do laundry, you clean up, you do a bunch of things, right? You do above and beyond because most likely, if you're a type of person who's into what we're into and the things that we talk about on this show, you're probably a pretty special person. You're probably a pretty powerful person. You're probably a pretty driven person. You probably have a big laundry list of things that you have to get done every day, going above and beyond what those around you expect. And you probably think a little high of yourself because you do all this work. Or you may think that you deserve a little more. And I want to tell you that this is one of the harder things to understand about life, and it affects life altogether, but you can really hone the anger and the hatred in on a spouse. You can't be rewarded for the person that you are because you're a good person all the time. Do you understand what that means? You can get a prize every day because you do things right every day. That's just the breaks, man. You know what I mean? That's the breaks. That's life. Life is you do the best you can every day, and whatever comes of it, comes of it. You know, it's not the same. It's not the same as at the opposite end of the spectrum. That's what's confusing. Well, if I go out and murder a bunch of people and rape somebody and do all this stuff, then I go to jail. And if I do it the next day, then I get a longer sentence. And you know what I mean? If you're bad, there's a reaction. Right? There's a reaction, there's a story, there's a punishment. But if I'm good, if I do everything I'm supposed to do, get up, go to work, do my job, come home, take care of the whole thing, there's not necessarily a reward every day. If you're looking for a tangible reward, if you're looking for a woman to come to the door and fall down on her hands and knees and thank God you're finally home. Thank God, I missed you so much. I almost forgot what you looked like. Let me make you a cake. Let me bake you a this. Let me give you that. Let's hurry up. The kids are asleep. We'll take all our clothes off and run upstairs. That can't happen every day. You know what I mean? We're human. Again, we're human. Rewards can't come every day. Regardless, though, there's still an answer. And the answer is to find your rewards. Because you have them. And you have them every day. They don't just come in the form of gratitude and presents and, all the things that we think about when we think of a reward. But if you want a reward, when you lay everyone down at night, right? Because if you're like me, you're probably up all night and up early in the morning just working. Not in a bad sense of working, just achieving, exploring, explaining. So if you want a reward every day, once everyone's asleep, go down and play video. No, go downstairs, or go upstairs rather, and take a deep look at these people. Take a very deep look at these children. Take a very long look at the way their chests rise and fall. Take a look around their room and the things that you have provided them. Right? Take a look again at the color in their cheeks as they sleep in a warm bed in the dead of winter. And understand that this is not the case for everybody, man. Understand that a lot of this has to do with what you had the ability to pull off in this life, which is no easy feat. It is no easy feat. And enjoy it. Enjoy yourself. Go look at the woman you fell in love with. Go look at the life you've given her. Even if it's not the throne and the queen crown and the whole thing. And watch her too. Watch her chest rise and fall. Watch the life course through her. That's a big deal. That's a big reward. The smiling face of your children. All these things that you have that you think you should be rewarded for every day for doing the right thing, which is not easy, especially not this day and age. Right? You're fighting battles every day. And you know what? You're not going to get rewarded. I'm sorry. You're not going to get rewarded day in and day out for doing what you're supposed to do. And it can level a marriage. It can level a marriage. You don't know how many relationships and marriages I've seen go awry because I've heard men say things like, well, I did this, and this, and she only did that. Well, I did X, Y, and Z, and she only did, like the tally marks on the kitchen wall or something like that, the mental wall and the tally marks. Well, I did A through C, and she didn't do but one thing. I had to mow the lawn, I got up, and raked all the leaves and I took care of the kids and all she did was played Candy Crush. Listen, man. That sort of a mindset will bring the fall to your empire, my friends. That will bring the fall to your empire. So this holiday season, when you're thinking about everything else, in your quiet moments, when you get those quiet moments, you need to think about your marriage. You need to think about your spouse. You need to go that extra mile. And you need to let your intuition and let God guide you. You need to let God guide you. Now is the time, right? These holy days. Everyone's around. They're driving you crazy. And in the midst of that madness, you can find a lot of answers. You'd be surprised. You'd be surprised. The Batman Challenge is coming up in January. Be on the lookout. I'll give you one hint. It's going to be probably one of the most intense body weight challenges you've ever done. But I'll give you details more probably in the next episode of I Am Liberty. We're going to do it through the month of January. What else is happening? I don't know. What else is happening? You know anybody who's got a prepper product, survival product, or service that they want articulated in a professional's skill level, right? So you want a man who is immersed in the prepper and survival community to write some information, do some sort of copyright, do some sort of graphic design. Send them my way. You can send them to James at jwrights.com. jwrights.com is my freelance writing website. Thank you very much for joining us tonight, and I will see you live Wednesday night. Be there. Okay, we're going to have a ball.